Hello and welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Rasuluhub. The highly anticipated and much needed privatization of Ukraine's assets has started off with the wrong foot. The public sale of one of the most lucrative pieces of state property, Odessa port plant, has failed. None of the potential buyers submitted their bids. Join me now to discuss the reasons for that, as well as the way out for the government, is the CEO of Concord Capital Investment Company, Mr. Igor Mazepa. Mr. Mazepa, welcome to Ukraine Today.
Good afternoon, Vladimir.
So, Mr. Mazepa, tell us what went wrong with the privatization of Odessa port plant?
There were several reasons behind the failure of privatization. First is pricing. Effectively, the government came up with an enterprise value of $715 million enterprise value as a starting price. At Concord, we have done a number of researches on the business potential, on the operational side, on the asset side of the company, the support side, and there are a couple of ways to come up with the evaluation of this company. First is a most probable DCF. Now, the company showed reported operational loss of 600 million hryvnia, which is roughly $20 million in net losses in 2014. And the company showed positive EBITDA of $8 million in 2015. But if you do your basic research and analysis, you would probably understand that in 2014, the company has made around $90 million of EBITDA, and in 2015, it's around 50. So we adjusted at Concord, we adjusted the normalized 2015 EBITDA as a $50 million market cap. Now, if you imply any multiple, more or less reasonable multiple, 4 or 5 or even 6, you come up with a market price of this company with the enterprise value of the company of $300 million market enterprise value. Now, there is also $200 million debt, which actually the company owes to the supplier of the gas. So if you deduct the debt from the enterprise value, you come up with a $100 million market cap. And the starting price should be even lower than this one if you really want to get an interest of many investors and to make sure there is real competition on the
So
tender.
basically the starting price was 5 times higher than the real market value of the company.
Unfortunately, this is true.
Why did it happen?
Now, again, there are a couple of reasons behind that. The first reason is, so probably most of the groups of influence which actually control the management and which actually may steal the difference. As we discussed earlier, according to the research people of Concord Capital, we estimate that the company is making somewhere between $50 to $90 million free cash flow each year. And those groups who are interested, actually, who are beneficial owners of this cash flow, well, they are not interested to sell it. That's the reason number one, and I think this is the most important one. The second is the process itself. There was a financial advisor, well-respected global bank, UBS. Also EBRD and IMF and IFC were also, somehow involved in this preparation, at least at the consultancy level. And unfortunately, the State Priority Fund of Ukraine did not listen, did not take into account any comment and any advice of those guys, those well-respected IFIs. There was a so-called valuator, which by the law should be there. It's a local company, no-name company, of course, which came up with a ridiculous price. There was no public discussion, no opinion of investment bankers of the international organizations were taken into account. And unfortunately, the result is like this. I'm afraid the government, or the Prime Minister and the newly appointed Prime Minister, I would say, were not able to take this sort of a political risk, because here in Ukraine everyone believes that the state property is worth billions or tens of billions of dollars, and it's all multi-billion country. It's wrong. Well, the asset is worth, how much people pay for it, and but still there is a lot of, as it's really politically and socially sensitive issue. I mean, the prioritization of the Odessa port site. So the government was under stress and under actually sort of a careful watch from the public, with pretty much unstable political situation here. Probably the sellers, the State Priority Fund and the Prime Minister again, were afraid that they will find themselves in a sort of a confrontation with the public opinion.
Mr. Mazepa, can we talk a bit about the bidders? You obviously have some insight about the companies who were potential bidders for this Odessa port plant. Had the starting price been lower, would it be possible for the bidders rose the price up to a couple $100 million?
Before we come to bidders, there are also a couple of other factors which actually were obstacles for any bidder who would come and take a look at this company. We all know this debt under question, $200 million, and it's been actually in the courts. So in my mind, the State Priority Fund of Ukraine should come up with a sort of an agreement with the lenders before the auction took place. So that's why this $200 million under question, in the opinion of the government, actually, in fact, were believed to be real debt. So the people had to add this money, to the starting price. Another thing is this litigation with the Kolomoisky Group, which used to participate in a similar tender back in 2009, who proposed at that time $600 million, and by the government of Tymoshenko, the tender was cancelled. So now Mr. Kolomoisky has all the reasons to go into the court. He went to the court. There was no final ruling on this, no final decision, but still there is a risk. So the government and the seller should do something about this. For example, come up with a guarantee or warranty. So if this is, if the court ruling says, well, it's it's a risk, so the government would help to compensate. So
basically, it's a very problematic asset.
Yeah. So it's not very problematic. There are a couple of issues. They are technical, but at the end of the day, they are really important to real buyers. Now, who came to this tender? The big Turkish chemical company, they're huge players on the market. They were real bidders. The Amani company. We noticed them actually at Concord. We noticed them 12 months ago. They were going around on the market searching for high quality assets, be it in agricultural infrastructure or the support side. I know they're real players, and they could be one of the serious bidders. Plus, we can also indicate a couple of others, indicative players, indicative buyers, who actually did not show up with a real bid for the reasons which we discussed earlier.
Yeah. The government, following this failure in July, the government announced that they're planning to restart the auction back in fall, and again try to put Odessa port plant on sale. Do you think they will be able to come up with a more reasonable price, and do you think that if that happens, they'll be more successful?
Two other factors, like the debt settlement and the legal settlement with Kolomoisky Group, would really help for the success of the process. Pricing, more or less fair pricing, is a key element in this in the future success of the sale.
Do you see the government trying to resolve these two issues?
There were no signs yet. in my mind, the privatization is not the key source for the budget implementation of the budget income. There is a more important things which come with the privatization. So, first of all, it's the major source of corruption in Ukraine. The state-owned companies has always been in the last 25 years the major source of corruption. So, if you privatize, the whole thing, apart from killing corruption, you also bring best people as management, best knowledge, money, which would go into surrounding infrastructure.
Apart from the Odessa seaport, do you see any other lucrative pieces of state property which might be of interest to foreign investors?
Odessa portside plant was supposed to be the sort of trigger for the upcoming privatization, because we also discuss Oblenergos, which is electricity generating companies. We also discuss many other huge companies in the sectors of machine building, in agriculture machinery, in aerospace, in railways, alcohol production, everything. Just in my mind, the government should sell everything, including nuclear power stations, hydro stations. There is no much. There is a little bit of technology, but there is no much strategic interest in there. You just make sure the regulator is strong, and in this way you will retain the best operating companies from the US, from France, from Japan, from elsewhere. This is how the whole world operates.
Mr. Mazepa, my final question, if we take a look at the bigger picture around the privatization, or the failed privatization rather, and the fact that it did not go through, is this a sign that the reforms which Ukrainian government is trying to introduce are not going forth, that Ukrainian government is not changing the way the Western partners would like to see it, and also that the business climate of Ukraine is not the right for foreign investors to come in?
The business climate is not the perfect for the time being. Of course, it would be different if this privatization had happened. I still believe the real reason was the technical mistakes which were actually done on the way of privatization, and this is something which can be improved, and this is something which can be changed, and pretty quickly. And hopefully, again in October or November, we'll see the privatization actually going forward with the same company that supports that plant.
Well, we'll be definitely following these developments really closely. Mr. Mazepa, many thanks for finding the time to come and talk to us.
Thank you very much.
We were discussing the unsuccessful start of privatization in Ukraine with CEO of Concord Capital Investment Company, Mr. Igor Mazepa. I'm Vladimir Solokhub. Thank you for watching Ukraine Today.